All right, fifth grade. And the next step we're going to take is how do we take a function and graph it as a line? We're going to take a linear function here, and we're going to plot those points and graph a line. So our function that we're working with today is y equals x minus 4. Now, before we can graph it, we've got to get some coordinates. All right, so we got to get some coordinates. And the easiest way to do that is to create a quick XY table. All right, so I'm going to create a quick XY table, and I simply am going to do that. It doesn't have to be fancy by putting an X and a Y, kind of with a T down the middle. And I need to get some points for us to plot on this line. Now, we want to make sure we get enough points that kind of travel all the way across this coordinate. If we only did points in the middle, we wouldn't get a very good line. So if I'm looking here, I'm going to have to get some coordinates to plot. So let's say that I have, I'm going to try to get one over here. I get to pick my X numbers. Remember, the X number is where on the graph, left or right or horizontally it is. So I'm going to pick a few. I'm going to just kind of go down the line. I'm going to just pick -6. I'm going to take -2. I'm going to do 0. I'm going to do +2, and I'm going to do +6. I'm going to kind of go back to front. All right, I'm going to draw a few lines just to help me stay organized here. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to fill in my y number on some of these functions. Now, I could have picked, like I said, any x's I wanted, but I decided just to go with those so that I could get some points on my graph. So let's start filling it in. So if I'm substituting whatever I picked for x into my function and then doing the rest of the function. So if I had -6, well, -6 minus 4 gets me -10. My y would be -10. All right. I'm going to fill in my next one. If I had an x of -2, well, I'm going to substitute that in there. -2 minus 4 would get me -6. Okay. Now let's say I had 0. 0 minus 4 is -4. I have 2. 2 minus 4 is -2. And then my last x point I figured out is 6. 6 minus 4 is 2. So just like with a function, we're going to fill in that function table. And the reason we do this is because then if we look across our function table we created, we have some coordinates that we can plot. So my first coordinate I'm going to plot is -6, 10. So I go to -6, I go down to -10, and I plot it on my graph. My next one is -2, -6. My x and my y, -2, go down -6. I plot it on my graph. My next one is 0, -4. I go to 0. I go down to -4. Boop. My next one is 2, -2. 2, -2. Plot it. And then finally, I have 6. And I have 2. So over 6, up 2. So I have some plots. I have some points on my coordinate grid. Now what I do is I take a line, switch them and make my line like that. And I take this line and I have to make sure that my line goes through all of those coordinates. If it goes through all of those coordinates, then I know my function is right. Boom, I can extend it further past because of the fact that if I line up all those points, boom, I've graphed this function. This line shows this function right up here that we did, this y equals x minus 4. So whenever you get a function, make a function table, plot a few points, and you can see why I picked these x's is because I wanted points that kind of were all over. I picked -6 because it would get me kind of to the left of the graph. I picked a couple in the middle. I picked one with 6, which got me over a little bit. If I didn't want to go -1, 0, -1, because then all of my points would be right here towards the middle. I wanted to spread them out. Now, I plotted about 5 points. That's probably good for what you need. I'd make sure you at least plot 4 or 5 points with every function. All right, so you're going to get a couple of functions now. Your job is to make a table, plot those points, and then put that line in there because that's our goal, is graphing that line. All right, good luck.